Hi everybody, Lori here. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm excited to be a part of the Love You More release with Waffle Flower, and I have a fun project to share with you featuring the new Postage Collage Peony stencil. This is, I believe, is it 5 stencils? And they are labeled, and I'm here for anything of their postage. Every time they come out with a new postage one, I'm like, sign me up. I just love it. It never gets old. So they are numbered. You could see here, this is the 2 out of the 5, and it even tells you the color, like suggestion, like to blend this with the lighter tone because you're kind of building a bloom with different petals. So I'm going to be using a lot of Concord 9th inks. I'm going to do each little square of the postage a different color bloom. You certainly don't have to do that. You could do each stencil one color and make it very simple. But I believe this first color is Pimento by Concord 9th. And then for the next bloom, I'm going to do grapefruit. And I'm not blending super heavy because I'm going to use these same inks for my next stencil. So I'm going to use the same colors, but I'm just going to blend it a little more intensely, a little more vivid, put a little more elbow grease to get a darker tone. So you can achieve the different layers using the same inks just by applying more pressure and more ink to get a darker tone. So here we have Buttercup. That last one was Creamsicle. If I forget to mention a color or supply, everything that I use will be listed in my description box. Here I'm going for a pink bloom, so I'm using Carnation. I'm also using the Concord 9th blender brushes. I like these for this job because they're kind of small. I have all the different sizes of blender brushes and they all serve their purpose. Just depends on the size that you're blending. You know what I mean? Okay, so here we have Honeysuckle. And by the way, I'm holding down my stencil with Post-it tape. I do have the grip mats. I was just too lazy to dig it out. Okay, here we have stencil 3 out of the 5 and it says medium. So this is where I'm going to use the same inks. I'm just going to blend it a little bit darker. And this is going to create your dimensional kind of like, I guess, would these be no, they're peonies. I was going to say they were roses. These are peonies, which, by the way, is one of my favorite flowers and was actually the flowers that I used in my wedding bouquets. I did all peonies and they were kind of a peachy and pinky tone. So peaches and pinks. Peonies in the bouquets, and then all my bridesmaids wore navy dresses, very plain. I called it classy. It was very, very plain, but I love the navy with the light peach and pink colors, like the combination. And can't believe it, but come this June, we will be celebrating 30 years married. Time flies. 30 years and 5 kids and not a lot of brain cells left, but I still love card making. And now here I'm using Buttercup, blending a little bit heavier, and then we have Carnation again, and that is layer 2, even though this is stencil 3. The first stencil that I skipped is the background, and I'm going to go back to it because at first I was thinking, I'm not sure if I want to blend a color on the background. Here we have stencil 4, which is going to be your darkest tone on your bloom. So this time I pulled out actually darker ink colors. This is Poppy, and I'm going to blend that on this kind of pimento bloom. So I wanted the most intensity I could get. And it doesn't take very much effort. And I love having each bloom a different color. But if you look at the Waffle Flower website or check out all the different design projects, there's going to be a lot of different examples using this particular stencil set. And I love getting all the different ideas, all the different color inspiration, take it all in, and then try something. Here we have Honeycomb, using that on this Buttercup bloom for the darkest shade. And then here I pulled out Sweet Pea, and that's going to be for the pink bloom. Do you have a favorite color? I mean, I think I'd have to say pink or red. I don't know. Here I went to Simon Says Stamp and I did a Rhubarb because I couldn't find a darker shade for Honeysuckle in the Concord 9th line. So sometimes you got to shop different brands of your inks. Mix and match. Now we have the leaves. This is stencil 5 out of 5. And I'm going to do these in eucalyptus. And I am using a little bit of teeny Post-it tape because there's also a little part in the center of the bloom. And I didn't really want to blend that with eucalyptus. You probably could, and it's going to give you it's probably going to end up a little bit muddy maybe like brown, or you could blend the centers of these with black. A lot of different looks, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do in the center. I just didn't want to do eucalyptus, so that's why I'm kind of masking off that little bit there in the center of the bloom and only blending the eucalyptus on the leaves. Another thing about eucalyptus, I love it. I used to have a vase, a big vase that I made in college, like a big ceramic pottery vase, and it was filled with dried eucalyptus. And I love the smell of that. And my mom told me this years ago, if it ever starts to lose its smell, give it a bath, like just with water, and it kind of revives it. And I used to do that periodically. Great smell. You know what one of my favorite smells is, though I know you don't care, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Patchouli. I love that smell. I mean, I don't wear it like as a perfume or anything, but I love a patchouli candle or something like that. It's out there. It's debatable. Some people don't like it. You love it or you don't. Then I decided to pull out juniper and just give a little bit on the sides, just to give the leaves just a touch of gradient love. Totally optional, but I just kind of felt like it. I was getting in the zone, and then you just start adding things. You know, this is where the fun part happens. So just going around giving just a little bit of juniper here and there. Not all over, but just little parts. And it kind of gets it a little papow. Okay, so remove this. I forgot to blend the centers. So here's where I messed up my camera. Sometimes I press on when it needs to be off, and then I press off when it needs to be on. So I skipped a couple steps here. I apologize, but I blended the centers with the darker shades. I don't know if you can tell in the center. I just used the darkest shade. And then I die cut this whole thing with the Postage Collage Die. Oh, I forgot to mention, I also used the #1 stencil and blended the background with a little bit of LATTE ink. That's Simon's Stamp LATTE. It's a very, very, very light, kind of a khaki. And that just, I don't know, it kind of gives it that vintage feel. Now for the sentiment, I'm using a new one. This is the With Love word die. And I'm going to do my classic recipe. The word die out of matte gold, the shadow out of vellum. These are my favorite. When you have a colorful card, I love a vellum with a matte gold. And then I did a couple more out of white, 2 more out of white, and I'm going to stack this up because a little dimension is life. How's everybody doing? Can you believe we are 1 week into December? I got to tell you, here in Minnesota, we got the snow going. But today actually felt like a delight because it was 24 degrees. And I can handle 24 without a breeze. I can handle. But the day before, I had to walk Hank, and it was -7. And even Hank was looking at me. I could tell his little paws were kind of in pain, and so we did not walk very long. But today I walked outside, and I'm like, 24? It's like a heat wave. I can do this all day. Okay, now I'm going to add, this is my favorite part, is taking the Postage Collage stamp set, which I have used so much, and just add all the little things, like the little 30-cent, 50-cent, and then the little wavy lines, and it looks like it's been stamped at the post office. I love adding those little details. So I just stamped those with VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and then I'm going to flick it up. I don't do it often enough, but sometimes I like to flick it up. I'm using the Brutus Monroe, what is this called? Aqua Pigment Gilded. It's like gold, liquid gold, and I'm flicking that on. You know, sometimes flicking is just needed. And then I use some of the Big Mama foam tape by Simon's Stamp. It's nice and thin. Popping this up on a buttercream card base. Little slivers of foam tape behind the vellum, strategically placed so you don't see it. Popped up that sentiment, finishing it off with my favorite, a few sparkling clear sequins, and this is it. It's my old standard classic recipe that never lets me down. Clear sequins, vellum, matte gold, lots of blended color, a little bit of dimension, white, cream. I'm in love. I don't know. What do you think? I love the new Postage Collage Peony stencil. Check out the, what's it called? Love You More collection with Waffle Flower. Also, you can leave a comment on this video for your chance to win a $20 gift certificate. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.